What up, what up, what up, what up, everybody? How you guys doing? It is me, your boy Khalil Blue, and it is so good to see you again. Happy National Suicide Prevention Week, man. We are here celebrating life, and I'm so excited to be back in these airwaves and these broadcasting streets with you guys. You guys did so much, such a great job showing so much love and supporting Feeling Blue. And we took a little bit of a break, and now we are back with a new name, new season, same old soul. And I am so excited to welcome you to the SOULcial first episode, baby. We got it. We here. And I cannot be more excited to officially welcome my official co-host, my ace, my partner in community, and in all things. Please welcome to the show, Miss Kiana Shelton. Hey, say what's up to the people.
Yes, gas me up.
Got it. A little bit of gas, a little bit.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Nerd here too. Not about it, like honestly. I could use a little for the sweatshirt.
Yes. We're getting a little bit of a lag, but hopefully that resolves itself. You looking. Color scheme popping.
But
How you
keep
feel?
going. But stop. Good. I can't complain.
Yeah, and it's so good. Man, so we back in these streets. It's good to be back. How you feeling?
Yes.
Yes. Man.
It's
Okay, so
nice. Had a good time last time.
yeah, I did too, man. I had a really good time. So I'm good welcoming the people back. I missed it. I missed us. I missed this whole thing. Needed to take some time and iron some things out, and now we back with a little bit of a man. So let's check in. So in social workers tradition, we begin everything with a check-in, name, pronouns, how you doing, and typically a check-in question. And so today's check-in question is for you and I, Miss Kiana, and for you, our loving community. If you had a chance to join us during our Feeling Blue era, is what did Feeling Blue teach you? Let's take a second and remember how it used to was, and talk a little bit about how we got here. So you want to check in with us?
Yeah. Yes. So I am Kiana Shelton. She, her, hers are my pronouns. In the time that Feeling Blue kicked off, it was for, I'll only speak for myself. I was having this realization that COVID 19, everything that was going on normal. And so beautiful time to come into Feeling Blue in all of the newness that I was experiencing and having some consistency in terms of community, being able to come and talk about more inspired for the work that I do. So I think it really brought a sense of community that once it was gone, I found myself being in a different way, which is why I was like, yo, you have to.
You need to get that whole thing back.
Right.
Right, it's time to bring it. No, it's real, and I think that thank you for saying that. I think I learned a lot of like similar things uh, when quarantine first popped off. I think it just kind of was like a punch to the chest, and I was like, "What do I do with myself and with all this energy and with all of these thoughts and feelings and all of the things that I have on a regular basis. But it gave me an opportunity to connect in a different way with community, because it's my thing. I feel at my best when I'm with people, and when I'm able to partner with folks and just participate in community. I think that healing comes best that way for me. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was feeling really lost, not being able to see, feel, and touch the world, even though I was being impacted by so much of what was
Mm,
going on in it. And I think as we
yeah.
normally do, whenever we connect to community, we learn, like you're not the only one that is experiencing that. And
Right.
there, we had so
Hmm.
much great conversation and so many dope like guests and people came through and
Yeah.
blessed the platform with their stories and expertise and tips for healing.
Yeah.
And we had so many dope
Hmm.
like Zoom calls after in like the private lounge. Private lounge is not probably the right way to call it, but you know
Yes.
what I mean. In the like sort of after the debrief, boom, and and I think I learned a lot about
Hmm.
the things that we were preaching, right? I learned a lot from you about new things to practice. So I felt like I was coming into the space, like hoping I could help somebody. And then you came online and dragged me into my authenticity. So that was, that was an awakening. It was fun to, to learn, to learn that you still have things to learn and to get to go and do those things and to be in process still, but um, I'm happy
Yes.
that we are. I'm happy that we are back here in this new
Yes.
and improved way, and can continue this journey that we started. Because I think it's an important space that we activated, and I'm ready to get back with my people. How about you? You might be frozen. I think you
Yeah.
might be frozen. So while Kiana comes back and talk to the people, you're joining us. For the first time, we're talking a little bit about Feeling Blue. And
Back.
Kiana and I hosted an Instagram show during Mental Health Month earlier in the year, and sort of started the idea, planted the seeds for the SOULcial. And so we're excited to be back together and doing our things. You back with us, Key? Uh,
No.
okay, cool. No, it's been happening to us on the phone and now on the computer. Like technology has really been trying it these days. So it's Suicide Prevention Week.
So fighting.
Yes. So it's Suicide Prevention Week, and every year we we, the social workers, host an annual event where we spend the entire week in the community just kind of hanging out and really just setting intention to connect with the community at large. So we set up a stage and we host an event series that's full of open mics and um, just you name it. I mean, we've had open mic performances. We book a feature every day. So we have comedians, and musicians, and different entertainers that come out and join us throughout the week. And we like host trainings and tell stories and really get to spend a lot of intimate and really exciting time connecting with people every year. And so this year, of course, because of all of the COVID things, we were not able to be in the streets. And I have, for one, been severely mourning that. What up, Key? Welcome back.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
just talking a little bit about Live to Tell a Story, and how much sort of grief I was holding this year,
Yeah.
not realizing how much I was mourning the fact that I don't get to do this event this year in community with people.
Right.
And it's a super, like, I was kind of like describing it, and it's like a week long extravaganza, and it's a whole lot of hustle and bustle and a lot of coordination and things. So I I normally move through it, but this time I got a chance to like really sit in the memory of it and like realize how important this event is to me and how much it has impacted me and developed me as a person, like completely on accident. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with this every year the way that I have, but this is like my thing. So it sucks that we're not able to be in person, but I'm super excited to be able to have a virtual week. We got some dope stuff happening. You know, you and I are here. We got some cool stuff happening throughout the week.
The week is really lit.
The week is popping. I think we got a little something going on. Got the team is putting in works. Shout out to Sam and Zach and New and Rome. Everybody, the whole social workers crew, Leah and Julie, everybody that is holding it down right now. I really, I wish we was with our people, but this week came about because folks were actually reaching out and like, yo, y'all doing y'all doing something this year. I actually wasn't really planning on doing a virtual thing. I was pouting, yo. I was like, I'm not gonna do it. It's not the same. I don't.
Right.
But then folks started reaching out and asking, what we were doing, and I got kind of chin checked out of my selfishness and realizing that this was something that had also become important to other people, and
absolutely
that was dope. So so welcome. This is actually your first year doing Live to Tell the Story with us.
Yeah. I mean, we've been in communication, talked about icebreakers you were gonna do, but because of distance, I was never able to get there in the physical. So, COVID has had its many downs, but a few of the ups have been the opportunity to be able to be in spaces that wouldn't necessarily be able to take place in person. So
I mean, so folks don't know secretly on the low that Kiana been in the social work streets behind the scenes, like since way back in the way back. I remember when this was just an idea. You smacked down the money for the domains.
Look,
like we're doing this. And
what's the Cash App? What's the Venmo?
So it's like you
buy really 6 different ones just in case you don't like that name.
Okay. The .com, the .org, the .net, the everything.
Get 'em
so you really, really like sewed into like the dream and the vision of this from the beginning, and I just said you be consult. You are the one. I listen. And this is what's going on. So I'm excited that first initially Feeling Blue, but definitely COVID in general has provided opportunities like this for to bring you to the forefront, so everybody could see sort of the magic that is the work. So in the spirit of Live to Tell a Story, every year we sort of we activate the space and encourage people to speak openly and honestly about mental health and
Yeah.
depression, specifically around suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is really to remove the shame around the conversations and the experience and build community around these really common but really impactful things that we sort of build a lot of silence around,
Yeah.
and then that silence additionally impacts people's feelings of worth and wellness.
Right.
And so um, we encourage folks to get up in community on stage and tell their story out loud on their experience. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I want to set the stage and see if you want to break the
Look,
ice. Tell us
we
a
talked about it. I didn't know.
little.
Our first ticket. Um, no, yeah, I guess I want to start out by saying that like um the platform to do such, right? Society would tell us would be attention seeking when really this is one of the most radical forms of bravery, right? And vulnerability to be able to express some of what could be some of your most darkest situations in a way of or in an effort to not only free yourself from that, way of looking at it, but also to bring some light and hope to another person and normalization of what that looks like. And so in my line of work, I'm a therapist at an outpatient clinic for adults. This is a common conversation for me. And so I think maybe on my scale of normalization, I'm so used to talking about it that I can sometimes forget how this isn't always necessarily a conversation people are ready or have been in spaces to just talk about. So I'm so thankful for, you know, having weeks such as this suicide prevention week and things of that nature and the work that the social workers do, just to be able to continue to bring these topics to the forefront to our community. And so my story, I think that when I choose to make connection, when I choose to um, be in community with people, they get all of me, which is why my circles and choices to connect with people is very mindful, just because I know that I'll be pouring a lot out. And so my story is tied into a person from my community that came to me and shared about their dark moment, right? And what that looked like for them, and essentially sitting in a space where there felt there was no hope. And through their personal therapy, one of, excuse me, one of the things that was recommended to them was to identify like a few circles, people of support for you that like through distance, through time, through whatever, these would be the people that would come and reach out to you for support. And so at first, I was very apprehensive to be called upon as that person. This was like before I had even became a therapist. I was just, out here in these child welfare streets, trying to survive. Like I was like, really me? Like, I don't know. like, but I realized like how tall of an order, but also um how much of an honor it was for someone to seek me out for that. So there's only two of us, but we all got these. I don't know, can you see it? Yeah,
Yeah.
tatted. And it's really just this stamp of remembrance, you know, for those that may come through my door, that see it. There's a way to start a conversation. For me, it's a reminder and an accountability to check in on that friend. And and see how they're doing and stuff like that. But I think that that was in my adult life my very first time where I was pulled outside of just my own little world and brought into somebody else's with a role and a responsibility,
Mm.
to be a part of that support. And so many of us don't get that opportunity to be called in. So many of us sit and wrestle with, why didn't they ever tell me, or what happened, or what did I do wrong, or how could I have been there? And so I hold it very dear, not only for the space of those who may have never gotten the opportunity to do that, but then also for the ways that I can continue to pour into my community so that more people have, these narratives around that. So, uh, it's definitely a story that I'm, so proud to say that this is almost 5 years old. And so, my friend is still with us, thriving, doing really well, and still has a strong community of support in those dark moments. And that I have been fortunate enough to know that it goes both ways, which is nice because sometimes we can, um, uh-oh, yes, sometimes we can be called into roles, but it's not reciprocated. And so it was nice to be able to know that that's the case. So that is a little story for story time.
Yo, no, I think it's beautiful, and thank you for sharing. And I really like what you were saying about this idea of playing a role, because social workers have a
Hmm.
home at the Social Education Theater, and sort of the mission of the set Agency 515 is to create communities where everyone feels seen, heard, and safe to play their role.
Yeah,
And the goal around suicide prevention, the idea, at least for us, is planting the seed that prevention is everybody's role. And
everybody's.
and the more folks that we equipped with the knowledge to know the signs, to empower with the bravery to ask the right questions, and
Mm-hmm.
give the appropriate tools and resources to refer folks to for
Mm-hmm.
support, then I think that we really can eliminate the number of suicides. I mean, definitely in our area, and I think in the world at large, and really sort of dispel this myth of loneliness, right? Because I think
Absolutely.
that traps us, so many of us, um, uh, in this space of hopelessness, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And shame, that this lie that we are alone in our experiences, or we're the only one that feels the way that we feel, or
Right.
because of what we've gone through, or maybe what we might have done, we've lost access to love or acceptability, and and loneliness becomes this is just a never ending lie, of
Yeah.
when the truth is there is quite a large community around, and if we activate that community with the right people,
Yeah.
right,
That part.
we we have the ability to be supported and get our needs met, and hope is possible, recovery is possible, and
Mm-hmm.
healing becomes possible for
Yeah.
all of us.
Right. And I think, prevention stories sometimes play a back burner, sometimes in the sharing. But I feel like they, are also connected to the hopeful aspect of this theme for this week, just really being able to shine light on what it looks like when you call upon those, that are part of your circle of support, and
Mhm,
how they can be important tools in being able to navigate that. And really, like you said, moving away from, that maladaptive idea that this is a isolated thing that I have to go through, push through, get over. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I was really drawn to sharing that story of prevention, and sharing that story of bravery from my friend for asking for that space and for community, and being
mhm,
able to model what it looks like for someone to step into that role.
mhm.
So I did my job. Tell
Oh,
me your story.
oh, is that the to
I
me?
mean, because that's how you wanted to come at me, like, so I set the stage,
Okay, so we're doing the petty tit for tat, are we?
just a
Okay,
little.
I'm here for it. No, I for me, like the issue of like mental health and suicide like runs pretty deep in my family from way
Yeah.
back to the way back. And I think just telling my own story, I I've probably had a abusive relationship with like anxiety and depression my whole life, even though I didn't like necessarily always know them by name. And
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and so I because of that and the things that I experienced like growing up, I think that I've never really had a great relationship like sitting alone with me. So
Yeah.
I get I still can get real nasty in the mirror and very like shame gets
Yeah.
real aggressive when it turns internal. And
Yeah.
so I think the first time that I had a attempt, I was 15, and and I was living in a world where I just kind of didn't have any control of my life at all.
Yeah.
Um, and I was being like heavily impacted by a lot of outside forces, abusive forces, and
Mhm.
I think I was just kind of the hopelessness I was living in. I just really wanted out, and I
Mm.
wanted, um, and it had been modeled for me by a family member that suicide was an option, and and I think that at the time when I started experiencing my own ideations, I started reliving the conversations that I had with family members who were also experiencing depression, and I started really learning um, what they were actually saying to me or trying to communicate to me through
Right.
their words and in their ways. Um,
Yeah.
and when it finally sunk in, like it hit a low first.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I think I found this space of curiosity, right?
Mhm.
Uh, which kind of inspired me to investigate the feelings in a different way.
Yeah.
And so that kind of like fueled a fire for me in a lot of different ways and kind of got me I had some access because I was a foster child at the time. I had some
Mhm.
access to therapy and different services and stuff like that. So um, I, took advantage of some of it, some, non-consented advantage of it, and not all of that shit worked, but the pieces of it that the little seeds, the little nuggets that were planted, I was able to apply what worked for me and,
Mm.
thank God, spirit, my mama and them that
Yeah.
I was born an artist, because it was really that that gave me life. and,
Yeah, right.
and it was really that that gave me the will to live. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was the creativity that fueled the curiosity that made me want to kind of write and investigate and to feel and to create things,
Yeah.
and just that whole weird artist thing. And so, like, when I tell people that art saved my life, I mean that in a very, very real way.
Right.
Um, and and multiple times over that has happened,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, because it didn't. What I also learned about depression and about suicidality, that I didn't know back when I was 15, is that healing is not like a finish line. It's not like a thing.
Mm.
It's not like a thing you win
Yeah.
and then it's over. And once you get past a certain level of something, then you never have to deal with it again. Um,
Right.
that was not my journey, of course. And so when it came back up for me in my adulthood, fortunately, I had been in this field already, and
Mm-hmm.
and I had learned a different kind of language, and had developed a different kind of practice around these things. But wouldn't you know, that there wasn't a way to intellectualize my way out of depression. and,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I still had to practice and to learn and to be vulnerable and to be human and to have my experiences. And so I was also living as a human, and living with my own hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
in a as a black man, as a queer man, as a person who came into this field. And I mean, it goes without saying that, like, the social service field, clinical field, nonprofit world is just white on white on white. And they, like, even the black folks that get in, they don't be black like me,
Look.
So, so I was having a hard time in these streets conforming to what people wanted me to be and how they wanted me to show up.
So
Um,
when they said representation matters, you didn't know that you was the representation that they
I
needed.
didn't know the
Yeah.
gun was loaded, but it
It's
was
quite
it
the
was
lesson.
it was quite the lesson. It was a thing, and they don't teach you, or at least they're starting to now, which I'm more appreciative of how things are growing. But they didn't teach me coming up that as a person in the social service field, you can also, be traumatized. And as a person who was doing this work, um, you don't get to separate
Yeah.
who you are from, when you go to work. Um, or maybe some people do, but I really, for me, I always experienced that as a mode of professionalism that was the privilege of, um, predominantly white people in my field who
Yeah.
didn't have, like, lived connection to the
Yeah.
space in which they were working. It was just
Mm-hmm.
a job for them, and for
Right.
me, it was
It
it
looked different.
it
Mm-hmm.
was it hit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I all of that goes to say, like, this is something for me that I've had to check in on over time
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I've I've made it my life's work in my artistry, in my career, because um, I know the impact that it's had on my family,
Yeah.
um, being robbed of voice and being robbed of agency, and
Yeah.
even being um, kind of taught and conditioned to believe that our mental health wasn't even something important enough to talk about,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
even shaming and abusing each other for speaking out loud,
Right.
you know.
Right. Right.
And so I And if I'm being honest and all the way real, like right now in my family, it still is a source of contention. You know, folks who, you know, oh, you shouldn't tell your business. Oh, you just got stories. Oh, but like people, there's still a huge discomfort with truth
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in my family, and I think I'm a person that needs it to
Yeah.
live,
Yeah.
and so I started Live to Tell Your Story because I believe that there are other people in the world that need truth to live.
Right.
And I think that it is the abuse of silence, and I think it
Mm-hmm.
is stigma and the shame and all the ways in which we bully people out of authenticity in this world,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know hurt people and send them off into dark corners by themselves to self
Right.
care and to heal.
Yeah.
Um, that contributes to the reason why a 100% preventable issue like suicide
Mm.
even exists. and,
Mm.
and to that degree has such a heavy impact on our most vulnerable community members, you know,
Right.
the ones that look like me, the people that I love, black
Yeah.
people, you know, brown people, indigenous people, queer people,
Yeah. Yeah.
kids, you know.
Yeah.
This is something that is impacting young people, black children, um,
Right.
at an alarming, at a disproportionate rate. And
Right.
because of the silence and the frivolousness that is painted around the issue in our communities, resources and support are not being offered to our babies, you know,
Right.
and their stories are being told. And I think that we right now more than ever, especially with all of the story that is accumulating during
Mm-hmm.
quarantine, we got a lot of talking to do, a lot of
Yeah.
story to tell, a lot of
Yeah.
learning to do as a larger society, if healing is even going to be a possibility for us. You know?
Right. Right. And like the thing about it, right, is that the unfortunate part is so much of this is connected to data, right? But
Right.
then if we lack the language to be able to talk about such things, then we don't talk about it. Not because we don't want to, but because I don't actually know how to formulate the words, right? Which is
Mhm.
why platforms such as these allow for the opportunity of this benefit of being able to model something and then reciprocate it, right? So, like, sharing and normalizing these stories creates the stepping stone or the idea of normalization for the next person to then be curious enough, right? Just how you mentioned that it was your curiosity that sprang into diving into the work, that it makes that curiosity then having the audacity to think about that there may be a little bit more to this, if I keep having this conversation.
Right.
And so I think that that's, the beautiful part about art is that um,
Oh, then we lost you.
I think I'm
Did
back.
you like that? Back, back, back.
Yes. So I was mentioning how, like, my son has taught me so much about
Oh,
um, communication
don't get me Milton over my baby.
without even being verbal, right? And then I think that that's like the beautiful thing about the arts in general, right, is that sometimes we don't even have to use words to share so much of our story. And so I'm kind of running the Facebook concurrently, so shout out to Susie, who talked about art definitely being a part of helping her get her mind to where she was in the moment, getting back to present. And so, like, that's the beautiful thing about art, right? Whether it's
Yes, getting
drawing
back to
or,
present.
yes, whether it's drawing or um, dancing or movement, sometimes words aren't even necessary to still be able to tell your story. And that type of data is hard to collect when
Mhm.
there's not spaces to do so. And so um, this is just kind of like another one of those shameless plugs for like the work that the social workers are doing. But this is the venue where words don't necessarily have to be the biggest thing if you don't feel the most articulate, to still be able to share your story, because I think then what um, individuals in the helping profession, like you said, where there's not a lot of us that look like us trying to do this work, get to be able to bring to the forefront the data, and the data looks different when you seeing it in your face, right? When you're seeing it in a picture, when you're seeing it in movement, when you're hearing it in poem or song, and it drives home a different point that um, healing work is very much like a fingerprint and is going to be unique, to everybody, you know. And then this is kind of what it looks like for our community.
Oh, absolutely. I believe fundamentally in that, and I don't believe in prescription healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
At
Right.
all. And so I think that any the idea of healing itself, right, or growth or movement, you have to be able to engage with, reality as it is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yourself where you are, and imagine yourself in a different place. That in itself is an act of creativity, right? And so,
Right.
like, engaging with the inner artist is mandatory
Yeah.
for a healing process. I don't
Yeah.
think that healing is possible without art, without
Right.
creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Regardless of your medium. And I
Yeah.
think that uh, the there's this there's just a whole soapbox, and I like will gladly stand on it, but we'll be here for 80 years because I really do. It's just one of those things that I feel like I can't say enough
Mm-hmm.
about what I feel like the divisiveness
Yeah.
in our structure system
Yeah.
around like removing the access to like arts and open space like these from people, and sort of the importance for the system responsiveness right now to
Right.
activate space for art and openness during this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be paramount. um,
Mm-hmm.
One more time for the president in the back. uh, and I also want to just kind of clarify, because as we were talking, I want to um, make sure that we're responsible to say that uh, in this field of like clinicians and nonprofit leaders and all that, the issue is not that there are not Black clinicians or
Yeah.
health workers. The issue is not that we don't exist, right? The issue is that the space of visibility is not
Mm-hmm.
often offered to those Black leaders and clinicians.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the services and systems in which those Black clinicians and healing workers have to operate within um, stifle the opportunity for that level of connection to be
Yeah.
authentically offered to the
Mm-hmm.
people in the community who need to see and access those Black and brown healing workers. We are
Mm-hmm.
there. The folks is in these streets. We just there's just a lot of work that has to go around to find them and to get them hired and get them in these places where they're treated well and valued, and not abused out of the ability to
Right.
actively serve the communities
Yeah.
that they represent.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that nobody miscommunicates that we think that there aren't any Black therapists,
Right.
because we literally sitting next to one. So just,
I'm
just
there.
so you know, now I got a whole lot of them on the squad.
Right.
Shout
Right,
out to
right, right.
Carlos. Shout out to Brittany. Shout out to all y'all. Um, and look, the Urban Restoration Counseling Center, all of the amazing work that they doing in the Southeast. Like we out here.
Yes.
And I think it's important that people know that we out here,
Mm-hmm.
and that like this the support is available, and it's also available in a multitude of ways, in
Yeah.
a spectrum of avenues, and it's like it come it come street, and it come structure, and it come all ways in which you need it. It come with a church tambourine. It come
Yeah.
however you need it. Go get your healing
Right.
today. Okay.
Please.
That was in the future when we start getting endorsements. That'll be the commercial break. So
Look, okay. All right.
go and
Pass
get
the
your healing
benediction.
today. Go and get your healing. Yes, sponsored by Baby Baptist.
I'm not here for it.
Yes,
Look,
no, but for
you
real,
gonna make this Wi-Fi cut up, and it ain't gonna be able to me, Lord.
y'all can sponsor though.
We'll
No,
gladly take it.
shout out to the Southeast. Oh man.
One time.
So I wanted to talk a little bit. We've been talking a little bit about the work that the social workers are up to, which I'm
Yeah.
super excited about. Like
Yeah.
the week that we're having. It is National Suicide Prevention Week.
Um,
All around the world, folks are celebrating this week. Well, national means the nation, but around the world too. They are celebrating this. Somebody gonna edit that out in the future.
yeah.
But this is like a week for all of the reasons why we named. It's like super important to what
Mm-hmm.
we do, and we sort of bang this drum all year round. But this week we get to like really lean in, and
Right.
we gonna talk about it now.
Right.
and
Get the
and
bullhorn.
and we find, when we have occasions like this, folks are more eager or ready to observe.
Mm-hmm.
To these themes and topics, because it's national conversation. And as much as I hate that, I love it during this time, because then I get
Yeah.
to be in authentic conversation with folks pretty much all day, every day long. And I get really excited about that. And this year's theme, that gets is hope, resilience, and recovery. And every year, eachmindmatters.org puts out the Suicide Prevention Week Toolkit, which the social workers traditionally pick up and follow. And we get our little arts brains in there and create a bunch of events and stuff based on the year's theme. And this year is no different. So we've got a couple of things
Mm-hmm.
going up the pipe this weekend. We'll tell you a little bit about that before we get on. But I want to get your thoughts about
Yes.
the theme this year. What are you thinking about Each My Madness theme?
I absolutely love it. It reminds me of, and so like the way that this quote is set up, right? So, Maya Angelou, the
Call her
full
in.
quote is something to the effect of like, I heard this country song and I wish I would have wrote it, but this is the line that I got out of it. And then she gets credit for it, but I think that's just how it should go,
For
because
sure.
like who no don't nobody know the song, but they know what she said. So, you
Credit my
know,
all.
right. So Maya Angelou said that every storm eventually runs out of rain, right? And like, I don't know what song it came from, but like that line really did something for me. And my thoughts around what resiliency looks like, and my thoughts around the way that I can hold space internally for hope, because hope is really on, sitting on the edge, like, sure it's gonna run out, like it's gonna run out, of rain eventually. um and then the reminders of like recovery, right? That like storms do pass, but they may come back. Like, and you may have another trial again, and that doesn't discredit the work that was done in the past trial, in the past storm. And so I just really love this theme, because I think it speaks so much to the process that we go through on any side of the coin when we're talking about suicide and prevention work. And it's what does that hope look like, not only for yourself but to be able to instill and share in others, and what does the resiliency look like to press on in really difficult circumstances, and then how does recovery get modeled in a way where shame isn't associated with it if those dark thoughts or those moments do come back, right? And so I just love the three words that they picked. Each Mind Matters is just such a great resource. Check out their website if you haven't been on there. I love the inclusivity of it all. I love the breakdown of resources, just for, Indigenous, Black, people of color, and some of the specific things tied to communities and tradition in that sense. But I'm really here for this whole theme this week. I'm really here for intentional word choice and ways that we can continue to keep modeling this throughout the year.
So what you won't do is quote Maya and then drop an entire poem on me like that. That was something right there. Like that was for a brochure. It was a commercial. Yes. Come on, review.
Well, you told me to have my talking points ready.
Yeah.
Girl did her homework, okay?
Yeah, don't tell her get ready because she gets ready. Okay, I'm here for that. Look, I don't really even got no more to say, Lord.
Call the benediction.
And period. That is my contribution. I think that copy paste all of that. I'm not hope, resilience, and recovery, y'all.
It's the thing this week.
Haven't had a chance to go over to the Each Mind Matters website. Check it down below. Please go over to their website, download the toolkit. They have so much beautiful information about helpful resources, tips and tools. As Kiana was saying, they have broken down so much of the resources so comprehensively. So you can really just kind of like figure out what it is that you want to know about and find kind of direct access to it, which I love. I think it's really, really super user friendly. And I love the toolkit every year.
Yeah.
They have great graphics. I love that they put it out for free. Anybody can just download it and share all of the information. They even generate an activity guide. So if there's something that you're like interested in doing to celebrate or honor the week, and you don't have ideas, they even help you out with things that you can do or participate in as a part of their campaign. So shout out to eachmindmatters.org, work that they're doing. You guys continue to inspire the work that we do.
Yeah,
there's something to build on, and I really love that, and I'm excited about this year's toolkit and being able to have conversations about all of these things, because I think that right now they're really they're just really on brand, and I just can't say enough about it. And I'll probably we could be talking about hope, resilience, and recovery until 2021, and never run out of spaces to hit. So kudos to them for picking that. Because September is also National Recovery Month. So it's a great way for them to pair those two things together. Because I don't know how often it gets talked
Right.
about the intricate relationship between people who cope with substances and suicidality.
100%, right? And how thin of a connection that also ties in with our recovery,
Absolutely.
right? So most of the time, and a lot of the work that I've done, with individuals who have battled with substance use and abuse, a lot of times this has stemmed from being in those really dark moments where they're either self-medicating or in efforts to prevent, succumbing to those negative thoughts
Right.
that they were having, right? And so, really, for recovery to be tied in here is such, again, an intentional look at the ways that we are connected in all of this, and again, how. Like we talked about, prevention is everybody's job, right? And most, first and foremost, our jobs to ourselves, right? And so then this is kind of how, again, that intricate weave of just navigating life. These themes come up a lot, and so I really think that it was whether it was probably planned pre-COVID, but really just hits on a whole different level, in the middle of a quarantine. So,
Man, and yesterday we talked about the the theme work during the sit-in, and I got so much like healing being able to be in Black space
yeah,
and talking about how these themes like specifically relate to our experiences. Because when you talk about resilience and recovery, as it specifically pertains to Black people, as it specifically pertains to right now, they become completely different words, you know. And so it really is a really weighty and really important conversation for folks to have. And we, the social workers, highly encourage you all to activate a conversation around these themes
yeah,
with folks in your network, in your circle of trust, and with your families, your spouses, your children,
yeah,
your friends, and really figuring out, like general prompts about this kind of like how are folks holding on to hope right now, you
mm-hmm,
know, whereas how are they feeling resilient? Where is that coming from for
mm-hmm,
them?
mm-hmm,
Are really getting into um, the real authentic and rooted conversations about
mm-hmm,
sort of the spaces that we're all kind of growing from with that, because it's important to check in on
yeah,
what's going on,
yeah,
especially um, right now, and especially always, but
right,
now is as good a time as any to be
mm-hmm,
having those conversations if you are
yeah,
not already doing so. Oh, man.
absolutely.
I want to take a little bit of a shameless plug moment
Oh, come
and
through.
um, talk a little bit about the social workers and some of the work that we got coming up for the week.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So we have put together like a dope lineup for Live to Tell the Story this week. And tomorrow is actually World Suicide Prevention Day.
Yeah.
So September 10th is sort of what you would call the Beyonce of Suicide Prevention Week. And so we'll be celebrating tomorrow at 5
Mm-hmm.
p.m. On our channel. We'll be having our production of Seen and Heard.
Yes.
We host a community suicide prevention training and a writing
Mm-hmm.
workshop. So some of our, as a result of that, some of our participants wrote some short plays, having conversations between characters and telling stories of people, offering hope to those in need. And so we got some beautiful scripts and some amazing stories written this time around. So we're pulling in some performers to do a staged reading. So we invite you all, the community, to come
Yes,
and
please come.
check in on that work. There'll be some poetry, some plays, some dope conversation. Come kick it with us. It's gonna be fun. And then right after that, we'll be heading over to the after party at Check Please for our open mic and our shakedown. So we really gonna cut up. If you know my girl Kelsey, and yeah,
Yeah.
and Chuck, what they got going on at Check Please is always a party. Whenever you link up with Kelsey, so we are excited to be teaming up with them this year to host our open mic. So we have the show at 5 p.m. and then we'll be at Check Please at 7. So please come out and see the show and support the work, hear the stories, and then come share some of your own at the open mic for Check Please. And head over to our social workers Facebook page or our Instagram page for the flyer information and all of that. And we will also drop the link in the comments for you guys to join us tomorrow. Yes, I'm excited. And yeah, we'll have a lineup for Friday. We got activities planned Friday, Saturday. We got y'all covered. Stick
Yes.
with us all
It's
week long.
lit.
Yeah, it's lit. It's lit.
I tried to tell you.
I'm hype about it, and I'm excited. And the cool thing about COVID is that we virtual in these streets, so folks
Right.
from all around are, like, yo, can I come spit something? So I'm excited to hear.
And it's like if you didn't even have gas money, you ain't
You
even gotta worry about it.
come on, accessibility, and it's a thing. And I mean, in some ways,
Right.
not everybody has accessibility right now, and we gotta be responsible and name that. But I think that
True.
we got this. And then most important, well, most in a high space of importance, today becomes the official birthday of the SOULcial. And
Yes.
so we out here in these streets.
Crazy. We really about to do it. We've been talking.
Uh, so we're
We're
gonna be
really gonna do
kicking it
it.
with people on a weekly
Hmm. We're
basis.
gonna do it.
Yeah, and Wednesdays at 5. Tell give folks a little not too much, a little bit of a taste of what they can expect. Sort of.
Yeah. I think that you can expect just about everything you got today. Um, some laughs, some conversation about topics we really need to be talking about. The social was really birthed from Feeling Blue and seeing that sense of community and how that community brought healing. And so, the social is going to bring the soul, it's going to bring collective conversation. I think that we recognize that in some sense, this may be some people's closest. Opportunities to kind of dive into what it would look like to have some of these conversations. And so we hope to model and spark curiosity and conversation and normalization about things that we really need to talk about. I'm a huge proponent for shining light on shame so that she does not, or he, or the non binariness of it, get to live in this space with us and hold us back from being able to really walk in whole self because of worries or fears of conversation. So we want to bring language to our community so that these conversations don't seem like hard conversations anymore. They just seem like conversations. And for some of us, that's something we've been doing for a while. For others, it will be brand new. But what I hope is that it's familiar in the sense that you feel comfortable in the virtual space that we're going to be able to create for y'all.
And whoop, there it is.
There it is,
I,
right?
I'm yeah, I'm I'm really excited to make Wednesday nights our home.
Right.
It was cool. We right in the middle of the week, catch you, after the week done started, and then try you coming off the weekend and get to, you know, how race cars got to get that pit stop, right?
Yes, this
That,
is
like,
the pit
we the
stop.
pit, we the pit stop. So
And then like when this is over, boom, Thursday, Friday, back at it again. Like,
and we gonna be here in the
right.
middle waiting on you.
And if you work on the weekends, we gave you some recharge for that too.
Lord, yes.
But before we leave, can I just like publicly say congratulations for Activist of the Year? Best of
Oh,
Black San Diego magazine has honored our boy.
okay.
And I just, feel like it's super important for you to get your flowers,
Man.
now before our time is should have started with them. Put them in water. Please put them in water. But I want to give you your flowers now. This work is tiresome. It's definitely not done alone. It is done with the support of so many, but sometimes the work does feel very lonely when you have to step into spaces to advocate for all of the people that are going to come through the door after you. And I know we have had tireless conversations of your frustration of being in some of those rooms, and I think that this award is so appropriate for you, and for how much of people will never know of how difficult some of those spaces have been in that you have pushed through. And so I just really want to give you your flowers for that. I am so incredibly proud of you, and what it looks like when a dream is not deferred. Okay, it's just who you are to me, and so I love you so
Do
much.
not get me crying
Congratulations
in the
for that.
streets. What is you doing?
I'm so sorry, but like the fact that I got through that and didn't cry should be
Listen, I'm finna refill this whole cup right now. Just
I love
what
you
is
so
all
much.
this? That's so ugly.
Yes, and Facebook is over here with the smiley faces, the hearts, and the congratulations. Thank you, Shigela, so much for coming through. One time for
Shigayla?
SBA. Yes, she's in the room.
Listen,
And
shout.
Miss
No, that's
Lena.
nostalgia. Yo, what up?
Yes.
Shout out.
Yeah, so thank you
Man.
guys for being here, for sitting with us, and
Yeah,
we hope
no,
that
thank you guys so
you
much.
will
And
come back.
thank you. Thank you for the love. No, and shout out to Black San Diego Magazine
Yeah,
for the honor. I really, 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 really appreciate it. Thank you for seeing me, and thank you for seeing all of the amazing Black artists and leaders and
absolutely.
authors, that were honored this year.
Hmm.
It's- it is an absolute um, gift and privilege to be in community with so many amazing people. So thank you
Right.
so much for
Yeah.
being on this. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I love y'all. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us
Yes, thank
today
you for
for the
joining
first
us.
episode of the
Hmm.
social.
The
We will be
social.
back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Bringing you, baby, all of this good love. Uh,
Yeah.
and until next time, please take care of self and stay connected.
Yeah. Bye.